All right, guys, welcome to the Onelife Podcast. Here with Tori. Thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
She's a high-performance breathwork coach, and you're also a speaker, and you do many other things that we're going to touch on.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. You are literally the perfect guest for this podcast.
Thank you.
So I'm very excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
Where do you want to start? I don't normally do this. You as a person, you got to be a special type of person to do all the things that you do. Where does that come from? How long have you been that way?
I mean, I like to think that my drive and ambition has been with me since I was a little kid. I think one of my superpowers is my curiosity for life.
I like where you're going here.
Yeah. And so I just like, first of all, I have a curiosity to understand myself. That really is the fuel for all the work that I do, and how I've gotten into the work has really been a journey of understanding myself and where do I fit and what's my purpose and all of those kind of self-discovery questions, but then just understanding why we do what we do in general as people and in human beings and the patterns and behaviors that we have. I'm just really interested in human behavior and dynamics, and
most of us don't stop to even think about that, right?
Right.
We just kind of go through the grind and we don't ever stop. Why are we doing this?
Why?
The simple word.
I do what I do? And for me, I went through a series of really big personal losses in my life that led me to that question, to ask, like, who am I? What do I want? And then how do I get what I want? But since I was super young, I've always just been driven to succeed in life, and just driven to, honestly, I think, just be the best version of myself.
I say that all the time.
Which sounds so cliche, but that is like really how I felt.
I say that all the time. I literally want to be the best version of myself. I love hearing that.
Yeah,
you literally took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, it's what fuels me, because there is a deep part of me that knows if I am sort of like not living up to that truth, and where I'm kind of playing small or not giving it my all. And so I think a big part of it is just like, let me see what I'm actually capable of.
You expect more of yourself, right?
I do have a high standard.
You know you're capable of more.
Totally.
I 100% can agree.
And when you're not like pursuing something or creating something like you are with the show, like I feel so in purpose when I'm creating something, and when I'm not, and I'm just kind of going through the motions, it's like all my vitality, all my energy is just like, it just goes away.
Like,
so I need
stagnant, right?
Yeah.
But then when you focus, you're 110% in, and you're like, nothing will stop you. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
What are your parents like?
My parents were both musicians and educators, professors
at
the university level. Yep. So I come from a very musical family. My mom was a professional pianist, and my dad was and is still a music producer, has his own record label.
Really?
But has traveled with some of the biggest artists in the country. And but they were both educators. So education was a really big foundational piece for me, and something that was always really like a focus in our home is just like knowledge and understanding and educate yourself. And I remember like being a child and having all these like questions about life, and my mom would always be like, I'd go ask her something like, where does sand come from? Just like this child is like wondering. She's like, go ask your dad. And my dad would be like, Google it, or like look it up in a book. Yeah. And so it taught me at a really young age how to be resourceful and how to figure things out that I didn't know the answer to. So as much as they would guide me, but they wouldn't just hand me the answer, because they found the value in helping me to learn how to solve problems,
to help yourself,
and help myself. And that served me my whole life.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
31.
31. Okay, yeah. It's kind of crazy. We've got this tool in our pocket with the answer to anything, but everyone's got an excuse. Everyone points a finger. Nobody knows how to do anything. But you literally have every possible answer you could ever need to do anything in your pocket.
Yeah, that's what I learned when I first started my podcast. I was listening to shows like yours, like mine now that I run, called the Coachable Podcast. And I was so inspired by the conversations I was hearing. And like you, I was really committed to my own personal growth. And I was thinking, man, like it would be so cool to have my own show one day. Or I wish I could, I used to have this like talk track in my head. I was like, I wish I could do that. And then one day I was listening and I was like, if they can, why can't
not me?
I?
I've heard that in the seat. Why not me?
Why not me? And then it was like, okay, well, I don't know how. And there's two questions I tell people. One, if you don't know how to do something, don't say, how am I going to do it? Say, who can help me?
Oh, I like that. I've never heard that.
Who can help me? Who's done it before that I can learn from?
I love that.
Who can I ask
stealing
for
that.
Do it. That's why stop saying, how is it going to happen? Say, who can be a guide? Who can teach me? Who can show me?
And that's straight away, that shows you the permission. That shows you what you need to do.
Well, then it doesn't require you to need to know everything up front. It says it's okay to be a student. And like you were just saying, this device in our pocket, that could also be the who. Like when I was starting my podcast, I went to what I call YouTube University and looked it up. You know, like, how do you start a podcast? What does that involve? And whatever question you're like kind of tossing around, or an idea you're tossing around in your mind, if you stop at like, oh, I just don't know how. Let's be honest, how committed are you to that thing?
You're not.
Yeah, you're not. It's the difference between being interested and committed. When you're interested in something, you'll do it when it's convenient. When you're committed to something, you'll do whatever it takes.
I love talking to you. You're such a badass. I love it. I see so much myself in you.
Really?
So much. I love it. And then on the flip side, where like, and you don't seem like this person, but you're not scared. You're not waiting for validation. You're not waiting for approval. You don't care about other people's opinions. And I don't think you care about failing either.
No, it's necessary. It's required.
Where does all that come from? Because I have it, but it's very rare.
I really believe in myself.
Where does that come from?
And I think when I was a kid, it's interesting. I went to a school for the from like kindergarten till 5th grade. Before I ever went into middle school, which is what we call it here. And I never got a letter grade my entire, like for all of those years. And, then I went to 6th grade, and the first letter grade I ever got was a math test. I got a 59. I failed the test. And I remember being like, the teacher called me outside the room. She gives me my test grade, and I'm just standing there in tears. And I think to myself, I never want to feel this way again.
How old were you?
I was probably 11. 12, I don't know. And I was like, I never want to feel this way again. And so I learned then that if I didn't want to feel a certain type of way, there was something I could do about it. I could prepare, I could study, I could adjust, I could be, you know what I mean? All of these other things. So one, I learned how to work for the things that I want, and that not everything is going to get handed to you. So I've had to develop resilience. I was also an athlete growing up, and I was always a leader. I mean, I was a 3-sport athlete. I played softball, basketball, soccer, even tried out for the football team. I mean, I was like, tell me I can't do something, and I'm going to be the girl that's like,
oh my God, that's my fuel.
Watch me.
Tell me I can't do something, I will prove you wrong.
I
actually like to be told I can't do something.
Please. It will just fuel me even more. Right. So that, and yeah, I just realized like part of quote unquote failing, as much as I've like watched people who I admire and think are successful, I've realized it's the baseline like requirement for success. It's just like, how many times it's just iterations of ourselves. It's like, okay, I tried this, it didn't work, let me try something else. It's all learning.
It didn't work. It doesn't mean you're a failure.
It's just information.
What's also saying failing's only failing when you give up, right?
Totally.
Failing forwards. The quicker you fail, the quicker you learn.
Exactly.
Like, there's so many different ways of putting it
that
you and I understand, but most people are like, they just worry about someone else's opinion. If I try this business, if I do this thing and I fail, what are people going to think?
It's that, what are people going to think? Because we're trying to be a version of ourselves that we think we're supposed to be. So that we can get acceptance and love.
Yeah.
And belonging. And once I realized that if I have to change who I am to get your acceptance and love, that's not love in general, like at all. So I don't need that, right? I want to be accepted and loved and belong for who I am, not because of who I contort myself to be, right? So one, it was like, let me stop being a version of myself that I actually don't want to be, because I think that's what's expected.
And just to fit in.
Just to fit in, or that's what everybody else does, or that's like the path that every culture and society says is a good thing. And so I realized like I would rather be loved for who I am by like a few people than liked for a version that's like actually not who I am. So that's one piece.
I like that. Have you had the Will Smith's quote? You try to impress everybody, you impress nobody.
Exactly.
I love that quote.
Yeah. And that's, I don't even remember what we were talking about right before this. What was the question? I just like got off on a tangent, and now I've like, that I was
love
like,
it though. The passion's amazing.
Yeah, that I was like an athlete growing up and stuff, and I just learned that it's a necessary.
That's self-confidence.
Totally, the self-belief, and I think you will always like succeed to the level of your own self-belief. Like whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Right?
Henry Ford.
You will always find evidence for the story you choose to believe. So when I think about...
Always find evidence in the story. I like that too.
So whatever story you believe to be true, you're going to go out and look. Your brain's going to go find evidence to say that that's true.
Yeah. What you think about is what you become type of thing. Yeah.
So if I think, I'm not capable of much and that I'm always going to, make a certain amount of money and life's always going to be hard. It's like, I'm going to go find reasons to like validate that that's true, as opposed to waking up in the morning and saying and priming myself to think something amazing is going to happen. And I'm going to looking for every opportunity to be like, oh, the universe and life is setting me up right now for something even better. Like, oh, maybe what I think is a problem, I get pulled over right now. Okay, but maybe I look at it as there's a relationship that I can build with this person, or my trip was delayed to wherever I was going, and because something could have happened. I just like choose to look for the pockets of like moments.
It's the way you're looking at life, right?
Totally.
I would say 99% of the population look at it the other way. I get you.
That life's happening to me. Like, and I'm a victim to circumstance.
Yeah, not for me.
Right.
I totally get it. I love talking. This is amazing.
It is a matter of perspective.
So rare. It's so rare to have these conversations.
Really?
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, this is what completely has changed my entire life, because I haven't always been like this.
No, but stepping stones, books, podcasts, conversations, you slowly grow and you get more tools in your tool belt and your attitude changes. What some of your favorite books? What's some things that have changed your life?
Oh, man.
Because I mean, reading for me is why I am who I am today. And
The
I think you're the
Alchemist,
same. 4
Agreements, anything by Paulo Coelho, and Don Miguel Ruiz, Wayne Dyer, The Power of Intention, that book changed my life. A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson changed my life. That, Think and Grow Rich, some of it just like Napoleon Hill. It's because I am, when I go throughout life, I realize I'm not just like this body and this personality, right? I really believe that I'm a spiritual being in a human body, having a physical 3D experience. And so I have a relationship to something bigger than me that also grounds me, and I feel very connected to, even when things aren't going the way I want them to, right? And that relationship in my faith journey and spiritual journey has evolved and changed over the years for sure. But that is like one of the biggest things that helps me go into uncertainty, go into the unknown, take risks on myself and on things that might feel like most people would be like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? Or you want to go travel the country by yourself? Is that a good idea? But I have this relationship to a divine presence that I really believe is helping me to co-create my life, and is supporting me and loves me and wants me to thrive and wants me. It's like a seed. Okay. A seed is like we are when we're, an embryo in our mother's womb. And it's like, there's all the potential in the world for that seed to become a thriving, vibrant, contributing part of the planet. Right. Yeah. And that potential is always there, and it's inside every single one of us. And what determines whether or not that seed develops into that full thriving being is, one, a big piece is the environment that you put it in. Do you water it? Do you take care of it? Do you nourish it? What are you putting in your mind? What are you listening to? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Right? What are you thinking? What music are you listening? All of those things. So I had to align when I realized who I wanted to become, that's the version of me I wanted to become, I had to start to realign my environment so that it was an environment in which I had the growth potential, right? It's like, take me out of this small pot that you've put me in and plant me so that I can grow.
And that's going back to not being the smartest person in the room, being around.
Totally.
And it's something we talk about a lot is if you want to date a certain person, you want to make a certain amount of money, you got to become that person. You got to become worthy of that. Mm-hmm. You can't just, what is it? Most people win money, like lose it because they're not financially educated.
Right.
You've got to become that person of integrity, punctuality, treat people the way you want to be treated. You got to put the books in, the information in, the time in, the reps in to be worthy of where you want to go.
That, and it's like, I ask myself this question a lot. Would you date you?
Would I date? That's
would
interesting.
You date you? Like, like become the person that you're looking for is looking for. So same with investors, or like same with business opportunities. If like I'm looking for this investor to invest in my business and give me data, I need to become the type of person that they're looking to invest in.
So simple, but so powerful.
If I want to date a certain caliber person who has, is like living in their purpose and is whatever I want, who do I think they're looking for? Do they want somebody who's just like bumming it and doesn't have a real like passion and doesn't take care of themselves and all the things? No. So like, let me become her, be her, live that out every day. And then what I've realized is like, as a byproduct of being her, life just like naturally unfolds. And like, there's these people that I meet and opportunities that happen as a byproduct of like taking care of myself. And I think our culture teaches you that selfish.
This is great.
And I'm like, no, it's like the most loving thing you can do for yourself and the world, because we all like, now you're making the planet a better place and you can contribute and you can give back and you can help other people. That's cool to me.
I want to touch on the schooling system. What do you think of school these days when you went to school? I think you got a good perception of it.
Yeah, I think our education system is broken in so many ways. Especially, I didn't get an MBA. I didn't go to business school, but I'm very much a business owner and entrepreneur.
Did you go to college at all?
Yeah, I did. I got my bachelor's in social work, which is why I do so much in the field of psychology and kind of mental health. But I wanted to be a photographer when I was younger.
Did you really?
I had a photography business all through college. I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit about me. And have had a creative side, and I've always been trying to find my outlet for expression. And when I think back on my education, the best and most formative years for me were those like first years up until I went to started getting grades and getting tests, like regular tests and all of that. Because what we test kids on is memory, 100%. Not comprehension and 100%. Not understanding.
Not critical thinking, not anything besides memory.
Yes. Can you regurgitate what I just said?
And then the problem is like you get through the test, then you forget it because you don't need to learn it again.
1000%. And a lot of what we're teaching isn't even useful and applicable. Like, I want to teach people how to breathe, how to regulate your nervous system, how to become emotionally intelligent,
how to not act on emotion, how to critically
responsible for your experience, how to not be reactive.
I'm sure you're a Gary Vee fan. Like, he talks about, why do I need to remember the 14th president when it's on my phone? I can know the exact information in 2 seconds, and that's only going to get better and better and better. It's pointless. That, and now the AI has come, like, here. It's here. Story. Yeah.
People are going to have to double down, like you and I, on our personality, because that can't be replicated. And that's what's original to us, is our essence and our presence that can only be felt because you and I are who we are. But that requires you to know yourself and to be walking and operating in that power and like allowing yourself to be fully expressed, because now we've got AI that's like doing so much for us. So
talk to me about self-awareness, your personal self-awareness.
It is the foundation for everything, because you can't change what you're not aware of.
You got some little gold nuggets.
You can't change what you're not aware of. So everything in my work and in my life is really about how can I be present, have it on my phone, be here now.
Oh, I like that.
Because this is where life is being lived. This is where things are happening. This is where healing happens. Where? Present moment. Transformation happens, not in the future. We always think about where we're going to get to. I'm getting there. Like, where are you getting to? You've only ever been here. You've only ever been in this moment. You've never been in your future. And the past only exists in your mind. So it's like, I'm trying to change my relationship to time by being as present and to my life as possible. And in your presence comes awareness, because we start to become and notice like what's present for me right now, what's coming up for me, what am I actually thinking. Think about what you think about, right? We don't do that. We think our thoughts are just taking us here and there and everywhere, and instead to like stop, still.
Love where you're going.
Be still.
Yeah.
What's going on underneath the surface? Because if we never slow down in our culture, we can stay dialed in, tapped in.
Well, I was going to say notifications,
all
texts,
the time.
DMs.
Your energy, your attention is the currency now. It's like that's what they're wanting is your attention. Can you place that attention on yourself and your internal experience, and just start to notice what is actually happening underneath the surface? Because under the surface of your mind, your conscious mind, that's where it's all chaotic. That's where it's rough waters, right? There's like this thought, that thought, this thought. But it's like, what's happening underneath that? Are there feelings you're trying to suppress that you don't want to feel? Are there things that have happened that you didn't want to actually deal with? For me, all of my awareness has come from sitting with and being with what is, and learning how to come into relationship with what is, instead of always living to like change things. Like, oh, I need to make this different, change this about myself, etc. It's like,
so you're saying stop, be quiet, and then be up here and here.
This from here to here is like the biggest jump people will make. It's like the biggest shift.
And is this where the breathworks come in?
Totally.
Okay, let's go on that.
Because
most people aren't. They're just going through the motions, distracted, TV,
numbed out.
Even driving the car, the music's always on, audiobook's always on. They're never like quiet. And I actually heard this. People don't like being by themselves.
No. We don't know how. But you think
it's important. We don't. That's an even better way of putting it.
We don't know how. We've never been. Now, I mean, you and I didn't grow up with social media, but kids these days, they've had a phone in their hands since
so they've been distracted from
their whole lives. So talk about the education system. I want to teach kids how to be with themselves. Because if I'm living my entire life trying to avoid what I'm feeling, numb my feelings, whatever, it's like change them.
The instant gratification, the approval online.
But how many millionaires, billionaires, quote unquote successful people are there out there that are absolutely miserable? Their relationships are failing. Their health is failing. They feel alone no matter if they're in a crowded room and everybody knows their name or not, right? So think about Robin Williams. Think about that dancer that just committed suicide. I
mean, Elvis is another example.
So many. So I think we have to redefine, what does success actually look like? What does it really mean to be wealthy? Like to be rich if you're only like wealthy in one area. Like, oh, I have a lot of money, but like my health, my relationships, all these other areas.
I mean, your health is your wealth, full stop, right?
Totally.
I feel like your health outweighs all of that.
And I think starting with your health is a great way to become more self-aware too. It's just like, just work on, this is your container. This is your body. Like without health, what do you have?
You have nothing.
You have nothing.
Nothing.
So work on this. And as you work on just like taking care and honoring the vessel that you're in, you'll just naturally become more aware, and things will just you'll start to think different and see things different. And Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Okay.
So it's a shift in all self-awareness is a shift in perspective and seeing something you didn't see before. Another quote that I love is the discovery, like the self-discovery journey is not about in seeking new lands, but in seeing with new eyes. We think that our happiness, our success, our peace is out there somewhere. When I get the car, when I get the marriage, when I get the job, when I get the whatever, then I'll be successful, then I'll be valuable, then I'll be loved. And I've seen it over and over and over and over again. It's like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything.
Because then it's temporary, and then you're looking for that next thing. Have you read Happiness Hypothesis?
No.
It's something it said in it really resonated with me. It was people are seeking to be successful, to be happy. But if you seek happiness, you'll become more successful.
I agree with that. And
I love that.
One of my teachers has a quote that says, true happiness is the absence of the search for happiness.
Oh, I like this. I love the simple stuff.
Which is just, can I be with and okay with what is? That actually there's nothing wrong with where I am right now. Because most of us, we're all trying to get to the next phase, the next stage, right? The next level. And what we're saying, that is fine. I can be committed to becoming a better version of me, making more money, having a better relationship or health or whatever. I can be committed to that. But if that's like only the goal, then I'm in conflict with where I am. And I'm saying what my current experience is wrong and bad. And I like to see it as actually like, if I knew that everything I could desire and everything I'm working towards was going to happen, no doubt, it's just a matter of time. If you knew that, like this podcast was going to blow up, it's going to be a huge success, and you believe that and you knew that to be true, you wouldn't make the fact that we're recording here right now mean anything other than, oh, this is just a stepping stone to where I'm going to be.
Part of the journey.
It's just part of the journey. But it's going to happen, and I can relax. And how many of us could afford to relax a little bit more because we're so tense and tight?
And also, and learning to embrace the journey, enjoy every conversation, enjoy the stepping stones. I feel like we're so caught on, like you said, getting here, but once we're here, it doesn't. So example with me, I live in a small unit, I drive an old car, I work for myself, but I'm so free. Yeah. And I'm so happy. Yeah. I can do what I want, whenever I want. I don't have any debt. I'm not paying for stuff I can't afford. And it's like society teaches you the complete opposite. You gotta have the newer car. Well, if you don't have the newest car, if you're not wearing nicer clothes. Totally. And you've got to literally retrain yourself to break away from that. But then I look around, everyone I see as I'm more free than anybody I know. And are you on the same page with that?
Yeah, I mean, and the value of that
is the best thing, right? But then I'm also self-educating, I'm reading, I'm networking to make more money. Of course. Because. And it's inevitable. But if I don't, I'm still good. It's right. And it's an inevitable byproduct of your continuation of just continuing to do what you do. But yeah, I feel we leverage. Here's the thing. I think most people sacrifice what they want most for what they want now. And they do the instant gratification route. And they say, what I want in this moment is to have fun or to party or to like get the car or whatever. But what I want most is to be financially stable or to save this X amount of money. So, and the brain's tricky because the brain is like, pursue pleasure, right? Like, and it wants to protect you. But you sometimes have to realize, like, I ask myself this question a lot. Is the choice I'm about to make going to make me more of who I want to be? You got some nuggets.
Does this make, because my brain can say, go through the Dunkin' Donut line. You want that donut so bad. That will be good. That will be good. But it doesn't make me more of who I want to be. And so that helps me to stay kind of aligned. You tell yourself that a lot? Yeah. It's like, is this in alignment? Is this choice in alignment with the version of me that I'm committed to becoming, or that I say that I'm committed to becoming, right? And it's every decision. I can't remember who said this. It's in a book I read a lot, like you.
You lose track of it.
Right. It's like every choice you make is a vote for the person you want to become.
I love that.
It's like a vote. It's like, okay, I'm voting for this like version of me when I choose to wake up and not snooze my alarm, to go to the gym, to like actually reach out to people and schedule some appointment, whatever it is. And so that helps me because I really believe what I consider most successful people, they live in accordance with their values. And it's not like, and they make decisions based on their values system. So if freedom is a really big value for you, you're going to make different choices than somebody who only values stability or values acceptance. So maybe they stay on a very straight, narrow path that is expected of them because they want to be accepted. And so it depends on your values. And I've had to get really clear about that. What am I kind of aligning my life to? Because there's a cost and a payoff to everything.
Yeah, and everything you say yes and no to does it. It's got to align with what you're trying to do and 100%. Where you're trying to be. Yeah.
When that requires a level of self-awareness.
Absolutely.
Always. It goes back to am I even aware of the things I'm choosing and why I'm choosing them and who I'm becoming as a result? So it requires you to self-analyze.
Well, I was going to say that goes even further back to being quiet and self-reflect. And totally. Why am I doing anything? And then I love, you take care of your health, obviously. Okay. And it's that realizing that, it takes time. It doesn't, you can wish it all you want, you can take whatever you want, but it takes time. Mm-hmm. And I think the exercise and the gym and the diet, I think that teaches and instills a lot of good habits on everything in life.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's probably where I was trying to get to earlier when I was mentioning that I was an athlete. That taught me how to do something consistently, practice, the value of practice.
Yeah, and routines and habits and saying yes and no, which is going to align with.
So my business is called Coachable. I run the Coachable Podcast. I talk about life as a game because I love games. I'm very competitive. So I'm life is a game.
Just a little, I think.
Yeah. And so it's the game of life and how to play it. Most of us, I believe, are playing one position that we've only ever learned to play, which is defense. We're playing not to lose. We're playing to protect ourselves. The defense doesn't score. The defense doesn't
do anything
but
just
protect
survives.
Against bad things happening.
Yeah, and most people are just surviving.
That's what it is.
They're not living, they're surviving.
So when you were saying these habits and routines are helpful, it's one, they're necessary because it's going to have, in the practice, is you learning how to play a new position, which is learning how to play offense, which is I'm going to be proactive instead of reactive. I'm going to move towards the goal line of my life instead of staying back and seeing what happens to me, right? And protecting myself against that. It means you have to have an intention for where you're going to go, right? What is that goal line? Where are you pointing kind of the ball?
Something that comes to mind too, Richard Branson talks about this. Rather than complaining, listen to someone's complaint. A huge opportunity there.
Totally.
Solving people's complaints.
Yep.
Not complaining. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. How to influence and influence people. It's that complete different perspective that you look at life. Not what happens to me. Not what
happens to me, but how things are happening for
me. And then
me.
also too, I always say this, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react and what happens to you.
That's it. Because there are things that happen to us that are not, we didn't ask for or cause or were not our fault. And I'm a byproduct of that. Cancer came into our family when I was, how old was I? 18 years old. My sister was diagnosed with cancer. My mom and my sister both passed away of cancer. Those are things we didn't choose. We didn't ask for that. We lived through a F4 tornado that was a natural disaster that killed hundreds of people in my hometown. We didn't ask for that, but it's not about life will life. Things are going to happen. And what I've learned is it's all about but what are you going to do about it? How are you going to respond? Because it might not have been ideal. It doesn't mean it's what you wanted. It doesn't mean it was fair. It doesn't mean but it is what it is. What happened, and it couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't. So now I get to decide how am I going to react.
That's very hard to say though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably taught yourself over years to have that, but I mean, that's hard.
Yeah. I mean,
have you read Men's Search for Meaning?
yes.
Yeah, I figured you must
yes.
have.
Yeah, because that story is about how do you know, the worst of the worst that could happen to people. And it's like, how do you find and hold on to your own personal power instead of feeling like it's all been like giving it away or feeling like it's been taken from you and that you're the victim, which, you know, in so many ways it can feel like that. And that is a real reality. And there's definitely a process. You know, I didn't come out of those experiences and feeling like, I'm so blessed this happened to me and that like there's such a silver lining here. But now there as a byproduct of trying to find meaning and trying to reconcile what's happened in my life, I have found, you know, purpose and turning your pain into something that drives you. And so now I tell people I like to help people find the holy in the shit.
The holy in the shit. So because I could talk to you all day, and this is so easy, it's ridiculous. Talk your speaking. Talk about your speaking, how you got into speaking, what you speak about.
Yeah, I mean,
because this is something I personally want to get into myself.
I got into it similar like this. I just started my own show and started speaking to people.
Oh, online. Did you really?
Mm-hmm. And just sharing my story and talking about things that were meaningful and important to me. And then, you know, I made an intention. Like I was like, I really do feel after I'd talked to enough people were like, you have a powerful story. Like you could help a lot of people. And one, it took me believing that and agreeing that I do feel like I have something to say that is important. And
is that hard or not hard for you? It's a different question asking you any of this compared to a regular person.
Well, I think
like, did you have self-doubting beliefs? Like,
totally.
Who am I? Because I had
100%.
I had a motivational coach on here who speaks, and he said the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, who am I to speak? Who's going to listen to me? Like,
we all go through that. You know, everybody has their own version of my story of things that they've been through, challenges. No, but you know, trauma doesn't discriminate. Everybody has gone through something hard. So yes, I spoke at a conference the other day with some huge names, and it's so easy to compare yourself and be like, what do I have to offer? You know what I mean? That people are going to be bored. And I get up there and I'm still nervous, you know, and I'm still shaky. And I've realized that like fear doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. You're still going to feel that. You'll get more comfortable and as you continue to do it. But like
fear is also good too.
That, and it's just a matter of I've learned that fear doesn't have to dictate whether or not I show up and do the thing anymore. Okay. It's like I'm still going to feel it. I'm still going to be like nervous, but
would you say you're embracing it in a way?
But it doesn't have to be in the driver's seat to determine like, oh, I
like that.
I'm going to listen to this.
Yeah. Okay. So you know it's there.
It's there.
But that's it.
So it's in the car.
That's easy said than done.
But it's in the back seat. You know what I mean?
That's way easy said than done.
It's coming with me. Yeah. It's not a part of me I can get rid of.
Yeah.
It's part of the human condition. It's survival. It's the part that's like, oh, is this safe? I don't know if that's safe. Actually, you might embarrass yourself. Are you
using your breath work to get in control of that?
Yeah. It's just, how do I center? How do I come into what's present for me? And how do I like, there's different reasons why I use breath work, but part of it is releasing energy that needs to go. So fear, anxiety, stress, whatever, through breath. It's just emotion, which is energy in motion, and it needs to move. So through the breath, it can come out and release.
Okay.
And then there's some relief after that. And you're like, oh, okay. All that agitation, that chaotic energy that's like I can feel in my heart and my stomach and all the butterflies, like I can actually like process it and move it. That's very helpful.
Okay.
And the other thing is just like, how do I center and calm myself? Because it's the mind that's so, it's that internal critic that's there and thinking of all the worst case scenarios and what if this happens? What if that happens? So the breath can help me like come back to what
center
is.
Yourself
Actually, I'm safe.
Okay.
Actually, I'm okay. I'm not in danger. I can remind myself of what's true. People, I do have something to share. There's someone in this room that needs this. There's somebody in this room that's going to, be better because they heard something that I said. I know I'm here on purpose. I know I'm loved and I'm supported. And I can choose that,
Is that instead. What do you call that? Like a positive self-talk, or how would you describe that?
For me, yes, that's one way to say it, but it's about coming back to what's true.
Coming back to what's true.
Which is all of these stories of oh my God, I'm going to mess up or this, that, and the other. It's is it true? Is it true that I'm not enough? I'm not good enough? Is that true? Is it true that you're not enough?
That. Okay.
Because truth is only truth if it's true all the time. So if I can't prove, so it's oh, they're not going to listen to me. Well, has anybody ever listened to you? It's not true. It's not true. So let's come back to what's true. What's true is who I am is enough. What I have to offer matters. I matter. All I have to do is give my best, and that's enough.
Where and how do you do this? Is this in the car on the way there?
Yeah.
Is this you're sitting and meditating and breathing?
I feel like I live in I try to live in a mindful type meditative state. I think all
the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a way that I'm.
So you're aware of what's coming in and out, and then you're addressing it.
I can't say that I'm consciously aware of everything all the time, but it's a practice, and I try to be as much.
I love
as
that.
I can.
I'm thinking I want to start doing more of this.
Yeah, but it is. I do have a practice of stillness, tune in, what's there, what's present, do some breaths, and it doesn't have to take a long time. It really doesn't, but and it can be in the car. It can be in the hotel room before I go downstairs to speak. It can be, in the shower. It can be wherever. But it's really about, for me, feeling into how my energy is being allocated and what it's focused on. And if it feels all chaotic, and I can feel that in my head, my thoughts are racing and all the things, then I'm all right, what are the things I need to come back to? Because that means I'm off in the future. That's what anxiety is. It's I'm not here anymore. I'm not present anymore. Now I'm thinking about what's going to happen or what I need to do.
I'd be anxious. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I feel anxiety is byproduct of thinking in the future. And depression is typically more about thinking and ruminating on the past.
Gotcha.
And when I think about anxiety, it's typically all of those, worst case scenario thoughts. And one of the things that really helped me, especially when I was making a big decision to leave corporate and start my own coaching practice and speaking and all the things, was play out the worst case scenario. And what I thought about was okay, if I quit my job, if I go for this, if I really bet on myself, what's the worst that can happen? Well, I can't afford. So I had a house that I owned. I put it on the market and all the things because I really wanted to give myself a chance. But I said, the worst case scenario is that I can't afford to pay my bills. No one hires me. And I think typically we think the worst case scenario is so much worse than it is. We're I'm going to be on the streets and I'm going to be addicted to drugs and I'm going to, it's no, what's actually the worst case scenario?
Things always work out.
The worst is that I can't afford to pay my bills and I have to go back and to a 9 to 5. I'm living my worst case scenario right now.
What do you mean?
That's what I was thinking. It's I'm already living my worst case scenario.
I like that.
So what do I have to lose?
Nothing. But you got everything to gain.
Exactly.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when I saw it that way, I was oh, we're going to go full on because I know I'm going to be okay. If I have to come back here and this is the worst thing that could happen, I'll be fine.
That's what I've realized. No matter what happens, it always works out.
And as long as we operate and live under the paradigm and the belief system that I'm not going to be okay, we will always have some level of anxiety in our life.
And then, like, you and I can reflect on the growth and the things that happen from things going wrong. You wouldn't, like, it's hard at the time, but you wouldn't ever not want it, because the growth, the relentless, the strength, everything comes from that. Everything comes from failing. Everything comes from things going wrong is the best thing. That's why you are what you are today. That's why I am what I am today. It's from the shit we've been through in the past.
Yeah. I mean, even coming out to Vegas, before I had gone through a breakup, and that could have been looked at as a failure, right? Like, oh, this relationship failed. Well, did it? Or was it exactly what it needed to be the catalyst for, like, who I ended up becoming, right? And then I went on this cross-country road trip, and I was intentional in that trip about wanting to not plan everything and not be in control. I wanted to learn how to trust life a little bit more and let it unfold naturally and sort of follow my inspiration and intuition. And so I did the opposite of what I would have done, which is like schedule and plan everything. And instead it was just like, let me experiment and just see if life will present me with the people and circumstances that I need to lead me wherever it is that I'm meant to go, instead of trying to play the role of God and figure it all out and know exactly and control life and make it exactly the way I think it needs to be, because that's exhausting. And I'd done that for a really long time. And I was like, I'm tired of trying to figure out, how's it going to work out? How am I going to get there? And I realized life is just expecting me to take the next right step. And then the next one will appear. When you're at the bottom of the staircase, you don't know how you're going to get to the top. Just take the next step.
The next step.
Next step. And most people, it's like going to a destination, going on vacation somewhere you've never been before. You have the intention, you have the goal, you put it in your GPS, right? And you expect life to hand you a series of directions on exactly how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And life's like, no, I'm not going to do that. But just get going. Get going. Start taking the next right action. Look up that thing on YouTube. Call that friend that has a podcast and ask them, for advice. And then just take the next step. And then I ended up here, and now I'm having this conversation with you. And
love it.
And the things that have come from, trusting that and allowing life to be a creative force with me, it allows me to live with a lot more just like peace and trust that it's all, like you said, it's all going to be okay.
And do you feel like for me personally, I feel like the more I grow to become the person I want to be, the more my life starts to align, and the more I know I'm on the right track. This podcast being a huge example of it. I've never felt my life as being so much on the right track as far as starting this.
That's amazing.
I mean, can you relate to stuff like that too?
Yes, where I've just had moments where I'm like,
the right conversations, the right friends.
Validation is more evidence for the story that you believe in to be true.
Yeah.
I am where I need to be.
The conversation we're having, you can't fake that.
No. You couldn't have planned this.
No.
That's the thing. You could have never known this was the conversation we were going to have.
No.
I couldn't have. But here we are. And that's the thing. We're all trying to figure it out and plan it. And it's like, let it happen.
Yeah. And
create the space for it to happen.
You're doing your journey, I'm doing mine, but then it aligns, and it's like, it's kind of crazy. Yeah. What do you speak about? Because you are. Yeah, I was going to say, you're so intelligent and so well-rounded.
Thank you. I mean, everything I speak on and teach are things that I use personally and that have personally helped me to transform my own life. So my real mission.
You're a coach as well.
I'm a coach.
Right? Okay.
I work one-on-one with people. I host live events. I do live breathwork ceremonies and do private sessions as well. And then I speak, and the impact and the intention that I have and that I want to create in every kind of facet of my business is I want to help people live lives that feel as good as they look.
Ooh.
Because I have been a person that had a life that looked really good, that didn't feel good.
What do you mean?
After my sister passed away and I had a series of losses, I lost my sister, 3 grandparents, one on Christmas morning, an uncle, and then my mom. And it was in the middle of that time. I was dating a guy who played Major League Baseball. We'd met. He got traded from the Atlanta Braves to the San Diego Padres. And I was young, I was 25, I guess, at the time. And he was like, come with me. You don't have to pay. You don't have to work. We lived in this beautiful penthouse apartment. He was playing baseball. I was like living, quote unquote, the dream. Could travel, could do whatever I wanted. And I felt more depressed that year than I ever had because I didn't have a purpose.
I was going to say purpose, lack of purpose.
I lacked purpose. I didn't have
I knew you were going to say that.
Any responsibility. I was not contributing.
You had no reason to get up in the morning.
No one cared.
Yeah.
There was no one I needed to report to.
Lonelier than ever.
Totally. And I was like, oh, this is all...
It's like facade.
A facade. Because this is not like, having this life doesn't necessarily mean you are happy or like fulfilled.
You made it into society, but
and I was like, this is a lie. I was like, this is a lie.
Yeah.
And so I left that relationship and I was like, I don't care if I have to go back to like the whatever. I'm going to find meaning. I've got to find meaning in my life.
It's so hard, right? Because like such a pretty girl and you got all this together, but it's so empty. It's so shallow.
Totally.
There's no depth.
And that's what I value. And what I've learned about myself is how much I value depth.
And it's hard because from the outside, everyone's going to think, oh, yeah, she's so pretty. You got this, you got that, you got all the money, you can go anywhere. But you're still not happy. And you kind of feel guilty in a way. You're like,
why can't I just be happy with what I have?
And
why can't I just be grateful?
99% of the population is envying you on so many different things.
That was huge. That was so huge. I
and you beat yourself up
because
you're like, what? Yeah, because who
am I to complain?
What are people going to think, right?
Who am I? I'm living the life. Who am I to not be happy? So I didn't feel like I could tell anybody. And I remember my boyfriend at the time had been on like a road trip. They were traveling. And I wasn't doing anything. I was like, holed up in the condo. And I didn't go outside for like a week. And I walked outside, felt the sun hit my face. And I just instantly burst into tears. And I was like, something's not right. Like, I don't think this is normal. And I was like, I need to get connected. I'm not connected to life and to like nature and to my purpose. And this has been a journey, like I want people to listen, like this doesn't happen overnight. Like this has been a series of decisions and events and heartbreaks and failures and all the things that have led me to have these revelations and self-awareness that I do now. Because I did it because I had these quote unquote mistakes or failures, and it taught me about myself. It taught me more about what I want, what I don't want, what I will, like what's negotiable, what's not, what I'm willing to put up with, what I'm not, and that's also how self-awareness is developed. I think the issue is when we stay in a repetitive pattern and we're like, oh, I'm doing that thing again. And we don't do anything about it.
Yeah. I can relate to what you're saying. Like I didn't date the supermodel, whatever it is, but being just a decent looking guy in decent shape and just having a business and not having to worry about money, but then finding myself so lonely. Yeah. So lonely. Yeah. Finding myself by myself 90% of the time. Finding myself not really, I'm going through the motions, going to the gym, making money, but I'm like, why am I doing this? Not looking forward to the weekend, not sharing any experiences with anybody. Yeah. And it's so hard to tell anybody about it because who am I to... Most people would envy me for so many different reasons. And I hate saying that out loud. It makes me feel uncomfortable. But I wasn't happy. Yeah.
And that's the lie, I think, that keeps us in isolation.
And I felt isolated ever, right?
And I know men are experiencing this on a whole different level too.
Because men are going to be men.
Totally.
And you're going to love what I say next.
But a lot of my clients, a lot of men come and work with me because for the first time, it's like, it's okay to like feel that or like say that, and it's like a safe environment. But yeah, I didn't think I could say it, and I felt guilty for not I was like, I've had so many times in my life where I'm like, why can't I just be happy with what I have? Am I just like, nothing's ever enough? But I think there's also this just internal drive. My soul knows like it's on a path that it needs to like fulfill. Like there's something for me to do and to like give in the world. And I don't really understand. I think we all have that. It's not like I'm special.
No.
We all have a gift and something that we're meant to share. And you were talking about, you know, feeling alone and isolated, which I totally get. And I think, one, we're best equipped to help the person we once were. And two, the thing that we desire is the thing we're meant to create. So for me...
Oh, I love that. I'm thinking of two things right now.
I was meant to create community because I felt alone. I was meant to create spaces where people can come and be intimate and like connect because I felt I didn't have a place for that.
Can I jump in there?
Please.
So I've just created a men's group, which is now 35 people.
Amazing.
In the space of 6 weeks.
Cool.
And I have friends. I have things to look forward to.
Yeah.
We do cool shit. We're doing cold plunge, breath work on Saturday.
I've got friends that I know I need to send your way.
A week after that, we're going hiking as a group. A week after that, we're doing a martial arts class together. And this is something, it goes back to what you said. I needed to fill my own personal void. But by doing so, I literally have 35 people in this group already.
Yes.
With a plan to have hundreds, potentially thousands, potentially tens of thousands of guys who will feel alone, who need to make new friends, who want something to look forward to, need to get away from the wives, the kids, and have an outlet men be men.
That's healthy. That's not like, okay, I'm going to go get fucked up in the club.
I'm so proud of myself creating this.
That's amazing.
But I had to go through what I went through to feel the way to want to create this in the first place. And I knew you would appreciate that.
I'm so glad you shared that. And I can think of guys right now that I want to send your way because it's so necessary. It's so needed. And somebody...
That whole mental health, right? That the men don't communicate. We don't drop our guard. We don't show vulnerability.
That's the thought. But there... A lot of men, just the epidemic of how many kids grow up in fatherless homes, they didn't have that figure to look to. And so I think true leadership, real leaders, a leader goes first. And that's what you did, right? You said, I'll go first. I'll create the space. I'm not waiting for someone else to do it.
No one's going to knock on your door and do it.
No one's going to say, hey, here's the perfect thing that you've been looking for. And
by leading, you show vulnerability. And that's what I admire about what you've done too, because you've done the exact same thing.
Because that's what's true for me, right? I share what's true for me. And truth is subjective. Everybody has their own truth, but on some levels. But like, I want to live an authentic life. I want to feel genuine in the work that I do, in the way that I live. I don't want to have secrets. I don't want to hide behind a mask and a persona. And, you know, I really know what I want in the sense, like, I want to leave an impact. I want to live life in a way that leaves people better than I found them. I want people to say, oh man, like, I met Tori and like, it had a positive influence on me or whatever. And, but part of that is learning how to lead myself. Like, I can't lead other people to places I haven't been myself.
I'm very driven, gym, eat well, read, exercise, business. But I was like doing it by myself again. I was like, this sucks. Like, am I the only person? And like, I'm not the only person like this out there.
Not at all.
So guess what? Let's start a podcast.
There you go.
You're my 71st guest.
It's amazing.
And it just gets better and better and better. And now I know 71 people like myself who read, who work for themselves, who don't make excuses, who jump in with 2 feet, who exercise, who meditate, who do breath work, who do cold plunges. It's amazing.
And now...
And I created this for myself because nobody's going to knock on my door, like I said, and do it for me. So I'm going to have to figure this out myself.
But that's self-leadership. And that's where that, like... It's like that staff of truth. It's like, oh, that people can feel that in your presence. It's a power because you operate from this. It's not like, oh, life's happening to me. It's like, no, what am I going to create? What am I going to do about it? What am I, like, I feel this way. It was like me as a 6th grader that felt like crap because I made, failed my test. And it's like, I don't want to feel this. So what am I going to do about it?
And then by doing so, you're helping other people.
Yes.
And that's the best bit.
And that's the best.
And then that goes back to the purpose, actually having true purpose.
It's the biggest fulfillment.
And you fulfill.
I can do it for free. I would do it for free all day.
100%. Anything I've ever done in my life has been passion first.
Yeah.
Every guest that's sat in that seat has said passion first. Mm-hmm. The money follows.
So the people that are listening to this, if you don't know what that is for you, like take time you need to do a self audit your life. What do you do? Why do you do it? Do you do it because your boyfriend likes it? Do you listen to that music because that's what your friends listen to? Or is it because you actually enjoy it? I realized that there was a lot of my life where I was in college and I dated this guy and I completely changed who I was for this person.
Yeah.
And it's like,
which is so common.
I don't even do it because I like it. I do it because they do. And I want this connection, or I think I want this relationship. So, and try new things. If you don't know what you're passionate about, if you don't know what you enjoy, one, you're probably not, you need to get out there, put yourself out there. And I remember I would take a salsa dancing class and I would just and
do it by yourself probably too,
do
right?
it by myself because I don't know who I'm going to meet, or I just realized that in life, we're all so much more alike than we are different. If I feel nervous walking into a place because I'm alone and I'm I don't know anybody, there's someone else that also feels like that. You know what I mean?
100%.
I'm not the only one that's a little anxious because I'm walking into a room.
And knowing it's okay that you're going to suck when you start anything.
Yes.
You are. If you're a speaker, you do a podcast, you do a video. I'm learning guitar right now. Yeah. Whatever it is.
I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, you got to understand it's okay to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
the only reason that another way to shift your perspective around your fear or your anxiety or especially your fear, it's just because you care. You care about the thing you're doing, which is great. It's good to care. If you don't care about anything, then you're probably not putting a lot of effort into it because you just don't care. You're it's not important to you. So the fact that it makes you a little nervous, or you're I want it to be really good and I hope people like it. It just means it's important to you.
Yeah, I get that.
And that's okay. And that's great. I think, it doesn't mean it has to be perfect. I'm all about taking messy action. Messy action. Take messy action.
But just taking any action,
just take action.
I always say, Tony Robbins, just as soon as you got an idea, take some form of action. Mm-hmm. I've always stuck with that ever since I learned that.
Well, also clarity comes from taking action. We think clarity comes from thinking about it more. We're oh, let me think about it. I need time to think about it. And you're actually, you tend to get more confused the more you think about something a lot of times. So it's make a choice, decide, get off the fence, put 2 feet on one side and go in that direction, try it. And if you don't like it, what is that? It's clarity.
Yeah.
You just realize.
You learn so much more by doing than you ever will.
You just got clarity that that's not the thing for you.
Yeah. Or holy crap, I want to do that more.
Yeah.
Tell me more I want to know more about you. What do you care about? What are you passionate about?
My health. I'm passionate about.
What do you do for exercise?
Right now I'm on a strength training program for the first time. I used to do a lot of
You're in the gym.
Yeah, I'm in the gym. I had to establish a new relationship with the gym and lifting weights. I used to have all these if I lift weight, I'm gonna get big, and I'm this, and it's that's actually not true.
It's complete opposite,
right?
Yeah.
So I had to deconstruct a lot of that. I used to not think that I was self-motivated enough, so I would only
to go to the gym.
So I would do classes. I would do HIIT classes, Orange Theory, because I need someone else to tell me.
Gotcha.
So I would try and work around that by, I'm competitive, so I'll just go in a class which was great.
So you go by yourself now?
Yeah, and I find people that also like to train, and to me, it's always more fun when you have somebody to
But you're not relying on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, but I don't rely on it now. And I think with anything, we're talking about the practice of doing something and showing up consistently, there's a threshold that you'll get to. And you never, it's all about a game. Life's a game of inches. If you ever seen Any Given Sunday, the movie, there's a halftime speech where the guy's life is a game of inches. And most people quit. You could be an inch from your, the breakthrough.
That reminds me of Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Go Rich.
And most people, they stop too soon.
Yeah.
They stop too soon. And it's just stay committed, stay consistent. And then when you're going to start to see the progress, there's going to be a spiral of upward momentum. And one day you're going to wake up and you're like, oh, my jeans fit a little different, or this, that, and the other. And then I get addicted to that.
Yeah.
I get addicted to the progress. And now I'm like, I'm feeling the momentum in that shift. And it's the creative energy as opposed to the destructive energy of just like isolation and being sluggish and not doing the things that serve me. Because in the moment, I don't want to, but it's like, makes me more of who I want to be.
What's your diet like?
Are
you still young and you get away with it?
Doesn't mean...
Or are you on point?
No, I have a balance.
Okay.
I've definitely have a balance.
Balance is good. What's your balance?
I mean...
Mine's like a 80-20, I would say.
Oh, see, mine's more like 65-35.
Is it really?
Yeah. Healthy, 65-30.
I love the honesty.
Yeah. But, my relationship with nutrition has been interesting. And the struggles that I've had with it came directly rooted in childhood. I learned how to self-soothe with food.
Okay.
I learned how to make myself feel better by eating.
Gotcha.
We all have our vices. Some people drink, some people do drugs, some people watch porn, shop, whatever. Are workaholics. Food was like one of my comforts that I made myself.
See, exercise is mine.
So
I'm just lucky though.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So some have more positive implications than others.
If I haven't fired or whatever, gym's
So when I used to get stressed or overwhelmed or sad, I would eat. And so I've had to unlearn a lot of that and learn how to take care and honor and love and listen to my body. What does it actually want? Is it bored? Am I bored or am I hungry? Right? It's all self-awareness. What do I like? What is my body craving? And then this has been in the last 6 months or so or more, because I've dropped probably 20 pounds since I've been in Vegas.
Okay.
So recently, over the last 6-8 months. And it's just a byproduct of, I'm not doing anything super, super, super strict, but being very, very consistent.
Okay.
And
being key on anything.
Consistency. And then the other thing is, starting to listen to my body more. It's like, actually drinking that coffee with that whole milk doesn't make me feel good. So why would I keep doing it? It's actually okay to
Next time let's
make a different choice. Yeah.
So
I've just making small adjustments here and there.
Okay. Habits, daily habits. I'm guessing you got a lot. I wanna know about them.
I mean, I'm not as structured as people might think, but habits include health. For sure, like getting in the gym, moving my body, moving my breath on some level, getting in the sun. If the sun is out, like vitamin D, sit outside. First thing I do in the morning, I try not to look at my phone for 30 minutes.
Okay.
That's
How do you go with that?
It's hard. It's one of the hardest things.
It is hard, right? It's something I need to work on more.
Yeah. Try to not immediately jump into technology for about 30 minutes. So I try to go downstairs, have a glass of water, and walk outside into my backyard and try to put my feet on the ground. It's winter here, but it's getting warmer. So that really grounds me, just putting my feet on the ground and feeling the sun. And then I have different practices. Sometimes I'll journal. Sometimes I sit and do a deeper meditation.
Okay.
Meditation. That helps with so much with self-awareness. And
yeah, I've been journaling because of this podcast.
I've got a series of cards that have a prompt. It's just one question. And sometimes I'll use that as a prompt.
What's an example of that?
One prompt, what are you grateful for today? Or what is something that you want to tell your 15-year-old self?
Okay.
Excuse me.
You just say that in your mind.
Yeah, or I've got a deck of cards that I'll pull one and it'll just have a question on it. And so sometimes I use that as a prompt.
What are those cards called?
There's a company called We're Not Really Strangers. They sent them to me and they have different decks. They have a self-awareness deck, which is amazing for stuff like that. There's a relationship deck. There's a healing deck. So it'll say maybe in the healing deck, it's what is one emotion you're unwilling to feel?
Gotcha. Okay.
So it helps me cultivate this curiosity within myself and continue to self-reference. And inquire within myself instead of always looking externally for answers. Because I really believe we have the answers within us. A lot of us are just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's like, how do you feel? I don't know.
It's like a cop-out,
or what
right?
do you want? I don't know. And so I ask my clients when they say, I don't know, I'm like, if you did know, what do you think it would be?
That's what my coach, that's what my coach says to me. I hate it.
Because it's saying, no, go back one more time. Because our default is, I don't know.
Like this layer, yeah.
Go back and see again. Because you probably have more, or what would you tell somebody who was asking you that question?
Or why is this important to you?
You've got, if you're asking me something, I'm like, I don't know. Another way you could say that is, Tori, like, well, how would you coach someone who's in this position? Because it makes you tap into your like higher, more wise.
And also the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Well, it's easy to give advice to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but taking it yourself. Yeah. What is your weakness? You're a very strong person. Where do you struggle?
I struggle in... One thing I've recently noticed about myself is I can, because of a fear of loss that I have, I naturally try to hold on to things that I really love, and I can smother them with like, you know what I mean? So
just like relationships or
friends, like I
or...
can just try to like, I overgive. I try to overdo things but it comes from a fear-based place of like, how do I keep this together and keep it close and keep myself safe? And so I've, something I'm working on personally, I'm growing through right now, is learning to like, I just got this tattoo. It says, let it be. It's like, let it be, that it is okay. And it's like, and letting go. I think we all can struggle with that. It's like letting go, especially when you know, like, you're in, like a season is ending and there's something else. It's like we can just cling to the familiar and cling to what's comfortable and what's easy. And as much as it seems like, oh, I just go for it, I do in so many ways. But like everybody, there are certain comforts and things that I try to cling on to that don't always serve me. You know?
That's interesting. You've got a lot of quotes. Do you have a favorite? I've got a lot of quotes too.
I have so many that I use.
Yeah, and you literally remind myself with that.
Really?
Have you got a quote that stands out to you?
Oh man,
I've got a favorite quote, and I don't know why it is. I know so many others, but I just got one which has stuck with me. It's from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. To read and not to do is really not to read. To know and not to do is really not to know it at all. And I always think, like, there's a lot of people out there who read, who know everything, but they never put into action.
Apply.
They never apply. And like that, knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power.
That is one of my quotes.
Yeah, you and I like live and breathe that.
Do
you have something like that stands out to you?
Well, you just said that avoiding hard things makes life unavoidably harder.
I know about someone who I kind of resonated with on such a very similar level.
Yeah, I mean, you get it.
It's kind of crazy, actually. I haven't talked to a lot of people similar, but you and I are very, very similar. It's kind of scary.
I know. But yeah, avoiding hard things makes life unavoidably harder. So it's like, go into the thing you're scared of. The fear, like whatever, the storm. Like Buffalo, when they're on the plane and there's a storm, like a thunderstorm or whatever, they are smart because most will run away from the storm. And what happens is the storm follows them. So they run into it, and they end up running out of it much quicker. So the thing that you're avoiding is the thing you need to learn to master, and the thing you need to look at, and the thing that you need to do. So that's one way that I always kind of check myself. It's like the thing that the conversation I'm avoiding having that, what is in that I'm so afraid of? What am I not willing to feel or deal with? And why am I afraid of it? Because it's like, it's the boogeyman that's underneath your bed, but like, if you look at it, it's not there. It's like this.
And it's never as bad as you think anyway, right?
Yeah.
Do you like Brian Tracy?
Yeah.
Like Eat the Frog? Yeah, similar to kind of that. Just to finish up with, because we could talk all day.
Sure.
But I know you got things to do, places to be.
Part 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to hit you up about that. What is something take Tori, switch everything off, all the motivational intents. What is just something fun and something random about you that most people wouldn't know?
Let me think.
Like, do you play an instrument because your family did?
I don't. I wish I had. I didn't stick with
You
any.
got some unique skill set. Like, what is this? Just something completely off topic.
Yeah, I really enjoy. What I've realized is I'm a really big animal lover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the other day someone said this to me. I have a dog that I'm obsessed with. And,
what type of dog?
But it's a golden doodle. He's like 4 years old. He just turned 4.
What's his name?
Leo.
Leo, cute.
But any pet, any animal around me, I immediately gravitate to. And this came out the other day, and I didn't realize, put 2 and 2 together, why I love animals so much. But there's no barrier to entry to connection with them. There's no like walls up. They just want to love you. And
there's no judgment.
There's no judgment. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like I can connect heart to heart with this like being. And that's what I want to do. And I think it's so challenging for so many of us is to like just connect in that way. So it fills me with like, I have something I can channel my love and my like affection towards.
I like that.
And it just makes me feel so good. And it's playful. Yeah. One of the things I've been working on a lot since I moved out here is being more playful because I can be a very serious person.
Me too. And it's not a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing.
Yeah.
I've got this thing I always say. It's like fitness, family, finance, fun. Trying to balance all 4. And it's very hard.
Yep. I want to help a lot of people, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's the fun thing it kind of like lacks sometimes. And that's why I need to work on more. And
but
it seems
that's
like you're
great
on the
with your
same
men's
page.
group too, is like what does fun look like that's not destructive? Because I also say, one of the things I realized too, I watch in Vegas, you see this a lot, it's like the pursuit of pleasure. It's everywhere. And I'm like, the pleasure that I pursue today, if it causes me to suffer tomorrow, isn't real pleasure.
Yeah.
It's sabotage. So it's like, are the things that are bringing me joy and the thing about play, it's like play requires presence. When you play and child plays, they're not concerned about time.
No, they're in the moment.
They're in the moment. They're immersed. And so it's like, okay, when can I let go of my agenda and my need to perform and my need to get things done and be productive and simply be and play and express? And so I've found that in music, like different like festivals and concerts and dance. It's like I'm finding another
the ability to disconnect and just
to connect. Yeah, disconnect.
Yeah,
to connect.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, just to finish off with, I want to ask you this. You're very driven, very motivated. The cold. Have you ever tried cold therapy?
Yes. So
you
Wim
have?
Hof.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I just did his breathwork thing on the weekend.
Did
actually.
you?
Yeah.
So I went to one of his events. And
Him specifically?
He wasn't there, but he had trained facilitators that were there that ran them. And that was one of the ways I ended up starting to get into breathwork was through Wim Hof breath.
Gotcha.
And then we did the cold plunge.
How'd you go?
Oh, it was amazing. It was terrifying and invigorating. It was liberating. It was like, I realized how powerful I am to be able to like regulate myself in a very, like an environment where you want to panic and you want to like freak out and feels like everything around you is like, run, get out. And it's like,
and you're doing for no reason, right? Like
nobody's forcing me to do
that's
this.
the best thing about it. Nobody's making you, no one's holding guns to you.
It's like, again, it's, can I prove to myself that I am okay? So if I'm literally sitting in a bath of ice and everything in my mind is saying, no, this isn't okay, but I can find a place of safety within myself. That's power. Because what that says is that my peace is not dependent on my circumstance or my environment. It's despite my circumstance, I can be at peace and I can be safe. And that is true power.
Have you done it more than that one time?
Yeah, I've done it other ways, but not through Wim Hof. But I would love, like, I'm looking for a place here in Vegas where I can like do more.
I've got one on my balcony.
Really?
I'll show you. You should get your own.
Yeah.
I do it every day now.
Wow.
5 minutes every day.
5 minutes.
And it's freezing, but it's literally, it's a game changer.
Well, and you come out of it and the energy level that you have, it's just like, I could run a marathon right now.
The mindset, I mean, you get all the health benefits, but it's the mindset. And I feel like you would like it for the mindset.
Yeah, that's why.
Because it's so damn hard and it's so damn stupid and you're doing it for no reason, but you still do it anyway. And that's why you do it.
But then there is reason, right? It's like all of the benefits that you get and the mental toughness that you acquire, and
which we literally look for, right? We seek out constantly.
Because it's in my next level, my growth is in the discomfort. It's like getting me out of my comfort zone and doing what's easy and saying I'm going to put myself in an environment that is the opposite of that. And there's so much, that is like the fertile soil for growth.
And you have that tattoo, right? Like, let it be. Like, mine would be seek discomfort. That's literally what I live by. Constantly trying to find something that makes me uncomfortable. So therefore I'm continually growing.
Let it be. And then I have one on my hip that says acta non verba. In Latin, it means actions, not words. So I really want my
lead by example.
Yeah, my words and my actions to be aligned.
Talk the talk.
And then right here on my neck, I have one that says, "This too shall pass." Which reminds me that it's not just like the bad things or what like is uncomfortable or the hard, painful moments, but also the good ones. Like, so when you're in that season of like everything's amazing and you're like in love or whatever, it's like the best things will also, it's all cyclical and seasonal. So it's like, be so grateful when you're in like a beautiful season, because there will be another season that happens at some point. Winter comes, the
there's
cycles, after
right?
fall, and then there's spring and summer, but so it's like whatever season you're in, it will pass. And just it keeps me present to what.
And I always look on the flip side too. I realize I feel like we get sick for a reason, so we appreciate our health.
Totally.
We have ups and downs, so we appreciate the good times. If everything is good all the time, you take it for granted.
You can't. We learn through contrast.
Contrast being the perfect word.
Yep. Because you don't know light without dark, or you don't. You know what I mean? You don't know joy without pain.
That's a better way of putting it.
You have to.
You word things so much better than I do.
I mean, these are things I think about a lot. Yeah. So it's.
But I can see the speaker in you too.
It's that duality. We're always living in a world of both, and we can't. If we only seek one, I realize, like, to the degree that I'm willing to feel the discomfort and the pain, is the degree to which I can feel the joy and the bliss and the love. But if I only stay somewhere in the middle and I always numb out and I'm never really going to either, it's like there's value in pressing into those limits, So I've got to feel it all. That means I'm alive. If I'm feeling anything, that means I'm fucking alive. And that's the gift right there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Didn't know we were going for the knuckles or the handshake, but that was great. I'm so glad I got to be here.
Yeah, that was a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.